everybody, I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps. Today I'm going to show you how to work a left cross stitch. A left cross is basically a very small cable with just one stitch crossing over one other stitch so that it crosses to the left. You could write this as a 1/1 left crossing cable. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to make this stitch. I want to cross this stitch over this stitch so that it crosses to the left. What that means is I need to work the second stitch first and then work the first stitch. The traditional way to do that is with a tool called a cable needle. This is one form of cable needle. They come in several different shapes, but this is the shape I like. And what you do is, I want to work this stitch first, right? So I'm going to take this stitch off my needle and hold it out of the way. If I want it to cross over to the left, then I'm going to want this stitch to be on top. So I'm going to keep this in front. So now my cable needle is holding that stitch in front, and now I'm going to go ahead and knit this stitch that's at the back. Okay, now I pick up my front stitch, and I could put it back onto my needle, or because the cable needle is nifty and just like a needle in and of itself, I can just knit it right off of the cable needle. And that is one way to make a left crossing cable. Let me finish a couple more stitches in the row and then you will see how that looks. I've worked the next row and now you can see where your left cross is right over here, and it crosses to the left just like this one. Now if you don't have a cable needle handy, there are 2 different ways you can do it without any extra tools. So let's look at those. I want to cross this stitch over this stitch so that this stitch is in front, right? That means I have to work the stitches out of order. If I don't want to hold this stitch out of the way, I can actually switch the order that they are on the needle before I knit them. So the easiest way to do that is if I transfer them over to this needle, okay, and they're still in order, they're still just like they were, but then I'm going to slip them back in the opposite order. So I'm going to come from behind and grab them like that. So I pick up the second stitch first and then the first stitch. And now you can see that first stitch is crossing over the top and it has become the second stitch. And now I can knit them out of order. So now if I knit this stitch, which was the second stitch and is now the first, and then I go ahead and knit this one, we have again made a left cross. Let me finish this row and I'll show you. Okay, there you can see we've again made a left cross stitch. That was a little bit fussy with all of the switching, so let's look at a different way to do it without moving the stitches at all. I want to cross this stitch over the top of this one, which means I need to work this one first. But what if I just went ahead and worked this one first without bothering to remove this one off the needle? Well, first of all, I want this one to be in front. So I can't come in front of it and knit because then it'll be in the back, right? So I actually have to come around behind it. So I'm going to bring my needle up behind it. Do you see that? I went around behind the stitch and up between the 2. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring it down to knit this stitch. And this is the only part that gets a little fiddly, is pulling that out. You don't want to, the thing that you always end up almost doing that you don't want to do is you don't want to pull it through both stitches like that. That is what you absolutely don't want to do. You want to bring it under that first stitch entirely. So it's completely separate from that first stitch. Okay? If this first stitch wasn't here, this would have just been a knit stitch. See, if that stitch was held in front, this would just have been a knit stitch back there. And that's what you want. But we're doing it without dropping that stitch. So there we go. Okay? Now you come in and you knit this stitch. And then when you're done knitting both, you can just drop both off of your needle. So that got a little messy with some pulling around on there. Let me show that to you one more time. So here I have my 2 stitches on my left needle. I'm going to come up between them and knit the second stitch first. Okay? Then I knit the first stitch. And then I drop both stitches from my needle. Let me finish this row and then I'll show you what that looked like. So here we have our left crosses. And other than a little tension mistake here, they're all the same. It's the same stitch, just 3 different ways to do it. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, or leave me a comment. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great videos. Thanks for watching.